know that there are also some of you who have arrived in the short time since then. I am Brigadier General James Bierman. I'm the Commanding General of Marine Corps Recruit Depot San Diego and the Western Recruiting Region, and I want to welcome all of you to Southern California and MCRD San Diego. I also want to acknowledge that great-looking Marine who marched out here with me. That's Sergeant Major James Porterfield. He's the Sergeant Major and the Senior Enlisted Marine here at Marine Corps Recruit Depot San Diego and the Western Recruiting Region. I'm going to address the majority of my comments to the parents, to the loved ones, to the family members of the Marines of India Company, 3rd Recruit Training Battalion. But before I do that, there are a few folks here that I'd like to acknowledge and recognize. First of all, I want to extend a welcome to today's parade reviewing officer, Colonel Larry Brown, United States Marine Corps, retired. Colonel Brown's bio is going to be read at the graduation that will occur here shortly, and I'm not going to try to go through his bio here, but there are a few things that I'd like to say about this extraordinary Marine that I've had the honor to serve with. Colonel Brown joined the Marine Corps in 1976. He retired in 2006 after 29 years of faithful service. There's a great deal that I could say about his impressive and storied career, but what I'd like to do is make a mention of what he did for the last 4 years of his career, because I think his service to our Corps and to our nation during that period was so truly profound. During that period, Colonel Brown was the G3 operations officer of 1 Marine Expeditionary Force, which is located right up the road at Camp Pendleton. He served as the G3 during the attack on our way of life on 9/11, during the operation where Marines made the initial landing in Afghanistan as part of Task Force 58, and then for Operation Iraqi Freedom 1 and 2. As the G3 operations officer for 1MEF, he directed and coordinated the preparation, the planning, the deployment, and the combat operations of over 56,000 United States Marines and British soldiers during the invasion of Iraq. And then later he returned during OIF-2 to put his hand to nation building and the counterinsurgency operations that were going on at that time. But I will tell you all, without any exaggeration at all, that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of U.S. servicemen who are alive today because of the efforts of this leader and extraordinary Marine. But sir, we are so honored and so glad to have you here with us this morning. Hoorah. Hoorah. We have some other members of the Brown clan that I want to make sure that I acknowledge. Colonel Brown's son Mike is here. His grandsons Elliot and Oliver. His daughter-in-law Erin and her mom Linda Grady are all here, and I want to make sure that we welcome all of them. I also want to extend thank you. I also want to extend a welcome to the family of PFC Lee and Augusta, who is the honor man for India Company. They're coming in from Colorado. I'm not sure exactly where they're sitting, but there they are. Welcome. We're very glad to have them here. I also want to thank you. I also want to point out this great-looking Marine in dress blues up front, Staff Sergeant Cody Waters, who is a Marine recruiter out at Recruiting Station Denver, who was actually PFC Augusta's recruiter, but he represents all those great Marine recruiters that are in the fight every day, and we're very glad to have him as well. Well done, Staff Sergeant. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, I'd be very remiss if I didn't introduce my bride, who's trying to hide back there in the 3rd row. but I'll tell y'all, if anybody thinks that she's going to stand up here and salute me, you're probably going to be holding your breath for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad you're here this morning because, as I mentioned yesterday, I believe that this ceremony puts the graduation that you will shortly witness into greater context. What just happened about halfway across the base down there in the middle of the grinder was United States Marines handled the colors of our country. It was done crisply and it was done on time. Today, at bases and stations across the entire world, Marines are handling the colors of our country in exactly the same way. At the 140 embassies and consulates guarded by United States Marines, at expeditionary fighting patrol bases in southern Afghanistan, aboard our amphibious vessels that are all over the oceans of the world, Marines are handling the colors of our country. Now this morning, we've got the chairs set up. All of you great folks are sitting here. The band's playing away. They're fantastic. There's a Marine Sergeant Major there in Overwatch. But it's important to me that all of you realize that tomorrow morning at 08, when there very likely will be nobody watching, those Marines will be out there taking care of the colors of our great republic, just like you just saw them do. The Marines that handled the colors, those who are arrayed behind me, they're the proud inheritors of the history and the traditions of our Corps. They wear the same eagle globe and anchor on their uniform that Marines who participated in the greatest flag raising in our nation's history wore. And I speak of the raising of the American flag atop Mount Suribachi on the Pacific island of Iwo Jima in 1945, almost 70 years ago. And there were others watching that day too. As the flag was raised atop Mount Suribachi, and it came to the vertical, and the Pacific wind blew, and it unfurled and showed its beautiful stripes. Tens of thousands of Marines locked in vicious combat across that embattled island. They looked up. Suribachi was the highest point on the island. They saw the American flag flying atop Mount Suribachi, and they raised their voices and they cheered at the top of their lungs. Then they turned back to the fight. There were hundreds of Navy ships 360 degrees around the island, and the sailors on those ships saw the flag being raised, and they also raised their voices. Most of the Japanese defenders, those brave men, they didn't see the flag being raised. They were down in their cave systems and in their trenches and in their spider holes. But we do know from the memoirs of the very few of them that survived that epic battle that they heard the cheering of the Marines, and the information was passed by word of mouth from Japanese soldier to Japanese soldier that American flag had been raised on Mount Suribachi. And those who survived write in their memoirs that the knowledge that the Marines had fought up that hill and raised the American flag, it sent them a message of inevitable American victory. It also told them everything that they needed to know about the nature of the American fighting man that they were scrapping with, United States Marines. Now all of your sons are the newest to earn their way into our Corps. But make no mistake about the fact that they are every bit as much United States Marines as any of the legendary heroes of our past. They're forged from the same great American steel, and they've earned the title. Let me take one step back and take just a minute to talk about the young men and women who are joining the Marine Corps at this point in our nation's history. Now, here at MCRD San Diego, we train men, but everything I say applies both to our male and female Marines. Our female Marines are trained at MCRD Paris Island, And make no mistake about the fact that we couldn't be more proud of our 13,000 female Marines. But the young men and women who are joining the Marine Corps nowadays, almost 100% of them are high school graduates. Almost all of them come from the highest mental categories, and their records have been rigorously screened to ensure that they have the moral background and the character to be Marines. On top of the fact that less than 1% of all Americans ever serve our country in uniform, the young men and women who raise their hands and join the Marine Corps or any of the branches of the military at this point in our history, they're truly special. And I say that because they joined the Marine Corps and the military with the full knowledge that our nation is at war. They could have done anything that they wanted to do with their young lives, but they chose to answer the call to those colors when our country needed them the most. And in my mind, they're patriots. I want to, thank you. I want to echo also a comment I made yesterday out there at the conclusion of the motivation run. None of the young men who will graduate today, those who are right behind me at this ceremony, anywhere in the Marine Corps, none of them got here on their own. And many of you are the great folks who are responsible for the success they've had up to this point. And this is your day too. I mentioned my wife Beth. We're the proud parents of 5 kids. And I think that gives me the basis to understand and appreciate the love and the mentoring and the support and the patience and the caring that you put into every single one of these precious young men. And I thank you for that. What I'd like to do in concluding, I want to introduce some of the Marines here taking part in this ceremony, because each group of them represents another larger formation unit of Marines and sailors who had a hand in the journey that your Marine has undergone while he was here at MCRD San Diego. To my left, the rightmost formation, as you're looking at them in the back row there, those great-looking Marines in the blue trousers, they're recruiters from the 12th Marine Corps District. They represent Marines from the Western Recruiting Region at over 750 locations west of the Mississippi River. They're the ones who go out and find motivated young men and women with the mental, the physical, and the moral background to be United States Marines. They tell the story of our Corps across kitchen tables, across these western United States, and they're very good at what they do. I suspect I'm preaching to the choir in many of your cases, because you know that your Marine has often had a relationship with his recruiter that goes back for years. The Marines in the middle formation, I should say the Marines and that great-looking sailor, are pulled from 3 different units. In the front rank, we have Marines from Weapons and Field Training Battalion up the road at Camp Pendleton. This is the unit, this is the battalion that has the responsibility of teaching these recruits, those who go through boot camp here, how to shoot, how to engage with their primary weapon system. We're very proud of the fact that in the Marine Corps, regardless of what job a Marine may ultimately go into, he is first and foremost a rifleman. And that's a core belief and an approach to the way we do business in the Marine Corps that has stood us in very good stead during many challenging periods in our history. Marines in the second rank don't really need any introduction. They're wearing those great campaign covers. Those are drill instructors from the Recruit Training Regiment. They're the dedicated, hand-picked professionals that spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, focused on the business of transforming young Americans and making Marines. Like I said, I don't want to forget the sailor in the back rank. The Marine Corps' relationship with the United States Navy, that goes all the way back to the birth of our Corps in 1775. Marines and sailors right now are operating across the globe together. We couldn't do what we do without the United States Navy, but specifically in our formations in the Marine Corps, our corpsmen and our religious specialists serve side by side with our Marines. And they're not just, caring, wonderful professionals, but the heart of a warrior beats in every single one of those sailors that served with us as Marines, and we couldn't do it without them. Continuing from right to left, the Marines in that last formation are from headquarters and service battalion, and they're the unsung heroes of everything else that happens here on Marine Corps Recruit Depot San Diego and in the Western Recruiting Region. They provide the admin and logistics support to everything else that goes on. They maintain this beautiful base, and we also truly couldn't do it without them. I don't ever want to forget the band. They bring every ceremony, every event up to the next level. They're so good at what they do, and I'm very proud of the MCRD San Diego band. They're led this morning by Chief Warrant Officer Stephanie Wire. And then last, certainly not least, I want to also point out our color guard. The color guard is led this morning by Color Sergeant Garcia. For a United States Marine, even above and beyond the special relationship he has with his personal weapon, to be entrusted with the care of the organizational and the national color, that's truly an honor indeed. And I'm also very proud of our color guard. Ladies and gentlemen, in wrapping up my comments, what I wish I could do at this point, because it would just be a great way to end my comments, I wish I could look every single one of you in the eye and promise you, you moms, promise you that your son will leave MCRD San Diego and he'll always be safe. But I can't do that. Your sons are American warriors now. They are being specifically and deliberately prepared and trained by the Marine Corps and by our nation to go into harm's way if necessary. And they're being prepared to risk life and limb in the defense of the values of our Constitution that are represented so well by that beautiful American flag. What I can tell you, what I can promise you, and it means a great deal, wherever your sons go in the Marine Corps, they will be well led and they will be well trained. And they will never be asked to do anything in which there is not another Marine to their left, to their right, and overhead. And I can also tell you with great conviction that whatever else they go on to do with their young lives, whether they spend 4 years in the Marine Corps or 30, they will always have a burning, passionate pride at having earned the title of United States Marines. Semper Fi, God bless you, and enjoy the graduation.